Well, hello guys, welcome back. Somebody asked me, and I thought I would talk about because it actually is a really good subject, and I think it's coming up for a lot of people. What god and goddess is good for shadow work? Well, I honestly think that it goes differently from person to person. If you need Jesus Christ in a bunny suit, you go with that, whatever works for you. And shadow work can come, in endless varieties of forms, but, I'm just going to use one example. Say you're dealing with grief. Like today, Lord Hades was pushing me to go through and deal with the fact that, when we lost my father, and then 2 years later, I lost my mother, there really wasn't a support system there for me. I had to process everything on my own, and I realized, no, I probably could have used therapy, probably could have really helped. And I powered through on my own because group therapy usually doesn't work for me. And I had different gods help me along the way. I had the Santissima work with me. I had the Baron Samedi work with me. Loki obviously worked with me. But it really depends on you and who you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable working with a certain god or goddess, they'll understand. You don't have to traditionally work with a god that everybody's like, oh, this is the best, absolute best god or goddess for, dealing with grieving or dealing with your past or dealing with your future or whatever it is that you're doing the shadow work to get through. It's different for all of us. I know I keep repeating that, but it really is, because sometimes Loki is the absolute best god to push me through shadow work. Sometimes Hermes will take me by surprise. And it's different. And sometimes it'll take you a while to get through it. And you'll do like the ritual or you'll do whatever, they're suggesting you do. And it feels like there's absolutely no change. If anything, you feel worse. And you're looking at them and you're like, that was really great. That's what I really needed. It takes time. It takes time. When my mother died, I spent about a year almost confined to bed. I was an absolute mess. I had no therapy. I mean, I saw my doctor, I think maybe twice, my, PCP. And I had no way how to deal with it because I could adult to a certain point, but I had no idea how to do all this adult stuff, like settle on a estate and get a lawyer and do all this other stuff. So it was really traumatic for me. So anytime I could retreat to bed and just read, that's what I did, and different gods worked with me. The Baron eventually was able to work with me, but, like I said, La Santa and that. But it can be any god or goddess that speaks to you. It doesn't have to be from our pantheon. It doesn't have to be, by our pantheon, I mean, vaguely Norse, since it is a Lokean channel. It can be anyone that works with you. It can be a god or goddess of love, and I've tried to approach them to work, and sometimes they can help you through stuff that's kind of like shadow work, because like if you have self-esteem issues, or your family never accepted you or whatever, they can work with you there. But again, it's different for everyone. Sometimes you're told, go see this expert, they're wonderful, and you go see them and absolutely nothing happens. I recommend a generalized prayer or circle or whatever you feel comfortable calling it, and say, I need help working through this. I need, the god, goddess that'll work with me through it. I know when I was growing up Catholic, I could never go to, like, God for stuff. Sometimes I would try, I would work with the archangels. They seem to be really good at it. But it depends on who you click and who you feel that you can trust, because they're basically your therapist. They're being your divine therapist and getting you through this. And so you have to obviously pick somebody you trust, someone that is not going to, take advantage situation. No god or goddess will, but if you don't have that trust there, if it's like a god or goddess that like terrifies you, you just don't like, they're probably not going to be the best therapist for you. But if it's someone you like and trust, you can work with them. It does take time. Shadow work takes time. Sometimes it takes your entire lifetime. I'm sorry to have told you that, but I'll think I am completely done. I am completely better. Like, I totally absorbed and dealt with the death of my parents, and I mostly have, because I'm to the point where I'm used to living alone, and I can go out and come back to an empty house and I'm okay. But There are still the days where, you know, I had a English teacher say it best, where the tears still come, where you're like, "Ooh, this is not how my life was supposed to turn out." And, you know, Loki's really good at that too, obviously, since it's a Loki channel. But, you know, if he's not working with you in that capacity, if it doesn't seem like he's helping and you can't turn to him, he'll find, you know, the god or goddess for you. So if you don't want to just set up a generalized prayer or something, say to Loki, I love you, but I can't work with you in this capacity. Could you please find the god or goddess you know will work with me? And he will. That's why he's been pushing me to talk to God and talk about all the stuff I went through in church. It's been horrendous, but that when I tell you sometimes I've had a bad night, it was like, look, he's like, guess what time it is? Therapy time. Yay, we're talking to God. And it's actually good because you finally feel like you're heard. You finally feel like you're heard and you talk to God or your gods or whatever God is helping you through it. And you just tell them and you describe all your emotions and you don't hold back because they're not going to judge you or gods aren't going to judge us for needing help. You know, they want to help, but as Loki's often told me, he can't fix anything I won't tell him about. So there's no glory in going around being, you know, in pain. And I have the worst time actually letting gods help me because I was raised that you suck it up and you don't ask for help ever. So it's taken me a long time to learn to, you know, have that trust and to admit that I'm not made of steel and that I need help. But everybody needs help from time to time. Sometimes life is overwhelming and you need to work with someone. But you know, you will find the right one to work with you. And like I told you, I don't care what any other pagan tells you. If you need Jesus Christ on roller skates and in a bunny suit, twirling a pinata above his head, you go for that. You do you. You do what works for you. I don't, you know, I'm not here to judge you on that. So I hope that helps because I've noticed like everybody seems to be like, we can't wait for the end of 2018. Part of my dream the other day was that it was a new year, and I was like, oh, thank the gods. I'm so glad to see the end of 2018. But yeah, I've noticed it's going for a lot of people. The pattern's repeating, like for my friend, and then for the other friend, and then the one just went missing in action. It seems like everybody is having a lot of difficulty this year. It does not seem to be the year to be human. So if you guys like what you see, like if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.